What do you think about what is enlightenment and what is liberation? Is there anything difference between the two or both are same? Enlightenment and what is liberation? Liberation. Like, do you know enlightenment? Enlightenment, liberation. Liberation means what is the difference between the two, enlightenment and liberation, or both are one or separate? Are you able to follow my English language? Little.
From what?
Liberation means liberation of mind. Liberation of mind. What do you think about it? And enlightenment. Do we know what is mind? What is mind? We know we are having mind. Having mind. No, we having mind. We know mind is what? Our brain functions. The function of the brain.
Our brain is okay.
Function of the brain is mind. Therefore, we function everything through our mind. Think, we feel everything.
Yeah.
Everything is mind. So the mind has two aspects. One is we have some feeling, fear, anger, sorrow, suffering, agony. Everything is our feeling. That is the conscious part of our mind. And the other one is we are thinking. Where we have to go? Shall we go to
Practical mind.
Thinking mind? The thought, think.
Practical
Thinking.
Yeah.
We think where we have to go. So shall we go to this country? That is intellect.
Yeah.
That is the intellect. The intellect part is a thinking part. But the conscious part is the feeling part.
Yeah, I know. We understand this and this. Yes.
This is the difference between the two. The intellect part always deals with everything. Through our intellect, through our knowledge, we deal with the everything. Only through the intellect, we deal with everything. The same way, we want to deal with our consciousness also. That part wants to deal with the conscious experience also. Want good experience, want pleasurable experience, not have any bad experience. Must always happy. We should not be any agony. We should not be any sorrow. We should not be any anger or anything. But that is the role of the intellect, thinking like that. But can we create any of your feeling for your own interest? Have several feelings. Sorrow, suffering. Can you can you form any of your feeling on your own? Fear comes, sorrow comes.
Yes. And
it comes naturally, without your involvement. It comes, we cannot create it. We cannot create it. So fear, sorrow, suffering, whatever it be, all our conscious feeling comes naturally, without our creation. It happens. It happens within ourselves, but we are not creating it.
Yes.
It happens naturally. That is the role of our conscious. But the intellect, only through the intellect, you have to decide something for your action. Only if you plan something, then only you execute the plan. For example, you think that you have to come here, and you decide to come here, then you execute the plan and you come here. So that is the part of the intellect. But in this way, the intellect tries to separate the conscious part also. It always wants to be happy. It always wants to be some good feeling. But it always tries to remove the bad feelings, sorrow, suffering, anything. We must always free from the unbearable feelings. Is it possible? It is, the intellect cannot enter into the field of consciousness. Intellect can have the domination, have the capacity only to the external world and the external circle. Intellect has no power over our consciousness. Consciousness is the feeling, and the intellect is only the intellect, that is the imaginary part. So the consciousness is the real part, and the intellect part is only the imaginary. So the imaginary part always tries to separate the real part. Possible. We may try to deal with the society, live in the society, plan our action in the society. But at the same time, it cannot enter into the field of consciousness to separate the consciousness. So if the intellect understand have no business with related to the consciousness is known as enlightenment of the intellect. So if the intellect got this enlightenment and it understands it has no business with related to the consciousness is not undisturbed. The undisturbed consciousness there is there. So whenever the intellect tries to separate the consciousness, it always interrupts the natural flow of our consciousness. But if it does not interfere with the natural flow of our consciousness, the very nature of our consciousness get a free flow. The free flow of our consciousness is the liberated consciousness. If it is disturbed by the intellect, it is a disturbed consciousness. So the undisturbed free flow of our consciousness and the intellect, the understanding of the intellect that it has no capacity to interfere with the free flow of our consciousness with mind. With mind
we have understanding.
Understand.
Yes.
With mind we understand. The understanding.
No, understand consciousness. We can
And not
understand with mind,
conscious.
or we can understand only.
No, with mind alone we understand, but understand the limitation of the mind. We understand that we have the limitation. For example, we can see the street here, from here, but we cannot enter through this way. If you want to enter that there, we have to go or in the doorway. We cannot enter through the window. So even though we can see outside the window, we cannot enter here. So in this way, even though the mind sees the consciousness and everything, it cannot control the consciousness. So the intellect has some limitation. But the intellect can work. Without the intellect, we cannot survive in the world. We have to work, we have to use our intellect for the survival in the world. But the intellect cannot enter into the consciousness and separate the consciousness. Because the consciousness happens naturally. It is happening. It is not a creation. All our feelings is a happening, created feeling. But we can think for ourselves, we can create ourselves according to the external situation. For yourself, create thinking. But you cannot create consciousness. Consciousness is the natural flow.
Active to observe.
Practice observe your mind.
Or do you need observe?
The observation of our mind means you have thought, some feeling. That means you have everything is in your mind. The thought, everything is in your mind. So you observe the thought, observe the feeling. That is observation. That is my meditation. If you are able to observe everything with free mind, that means it is a kind of meditation. You mean that kind of meditation?
Just
meditation technique.
Or just observe.
I am not giving meditation technique, but this is the understanding. The understanding is of the intellect part. For example, we know, even though we can see the street from here, we understand that we cannot go from here. If we want to go there, we have to go from that side also. It's only purely intellectual understanding. It is not an observation, some understanding. Through observation, we come to a conclusion. We think it is not possible to enter this, and we have to select that way to enter the street. This is only intellectual understanding. So intellectual understanding is some intellectual clarification. But here, observation of everything is just like seeing something as if as an outsider, something happens in front of us, and we see it as an outsider of the thing happening. And that is a kind of meditation. What I am going to say is not a meditation. It is just like an understanding. Understanding of the limitation of our mind, our total consciousness became a liberated consciousness. Because all our problem are only in the conscious level. And if you are able to free the consciousness, if you do not interfere with the free flow of our consciousness, all our problem naturally solves. Because there is no problem for yourself, not at all, then there will be no problem in your life. So, if you have any feeling against your will, and if any consciousness, if any feelings disturbs you, that is the problem. If no feeling disturbs you, then there will be no problem.
How to remove this?
So it goes away on its own. That is a natural thing. Only thing the mind has to understand, the intellect part has to understand, we have no business over the natural flow of our consciousness. That is the thing. Olden days, principle is known as the surrender to God. Or if you surrender to God, if you put everything in the hands of God, thereby we do not take any responsibility to change anything. Because God takes care of everything. So we need not take any care for the change of anything. That means surrender to God. But here, we are not surrendering anything to God or anybody. So the understanding of our incapacity to deal with the feelings, it works like surrender. There is no difference between the actual surrender and actual understanding. So if you understand properly, all our problems solves naturally. So in the case of surrender also, all our problems solves naturally. But surrender is the olden way. But the understanding is able to know, you can be able to feel, because in the case of surrender, there must be some faith. Plus faith, you cannot surrender anything. Here, no faith is not necessary. Logical and understanding, some logical understanding is enough. You follow any practices, you have done meditations. Previously, we have gone through some meditation. Previously. So,
Yeah.
How long? How long you are in the spiritual world? This kind of spiritual practice. Do you have any teachers or teachings? That is, if you focus your attention to this point, we can focus. Thereby, we organize our mind to that. So in that, if you organize your mind, your heart and mind to this particular place where the I am and the I consciousness develops, we focus your attention there of meditation. In other words, if you inquire, if somebody else comes, if I ask who am I, who are you, and ask about your details, that is an intellectual inquiry. But here the paying attention is something different, and inquiring through the details of him is different. Feeling something is through the conscious part, but inquiring the details is only through intellect part. So we may approach who am I in two ways. If you approach the I am in the conscious level, that means you feel that if, for example, if I touch here, you can feel the touch feeling. So in this way, if you feel the I consciousness, then it is the conscious attention to that I am. At the same time, instead of watching that, you inquire what is the structure, functioning of ourselves, what is the nature of I am. So if we inquire about the details, it is the inquiry through the intellect part. Mm-hmm. In both parts we can approach the problem. But actually, the intellect part is only the imaginary part. It is only through some knowledge or anything. We have acquired many knowledge, many things, many ideas. It is a collection of ideas. Collection of idea alone, our intellect is formed. You get many ideas, many knowledge, and we inquire with the use of the knowledge, with the use of idea, we can come to a conclusion. Inquire and come to a conclusion. This is through our intellect. And but the natural, the consciousness is a feeling. It is not an intellectual. It is a feeling. You touch here, I feel that. If I have fear, I feel that. If I have a sorrow, I feel that. If I have anger, I feel that. So the feeling is the natural thing. It is a living thing. But the intellect is not a living thing. It is only an imaginary part. So actually, if out of this consciousness and the intellect part, if I ask which part really I am, if you ask the question, actually the living part is our consciousness. Living part is the real I am. The intellect part is not the real I am. But the intellect part always the intellect part alone always claim I am. But actually the intellect part is not I am. It is only a constructed with some imaginary aspect, some materials, knowledge, ideas, concepts. It is a place of concepts and ideas. And you are able to find out the place.
Yes,
Good. The intellect part alone claims that I am. But even though the real I am, the consciousness is the real I am, it will not claim I am. But it is the real I am. Our consciousness is the real I am. But it never claims I am. It does not give any importance to the I am, the I consciousness. Only the artificial, the imaginary part of our mind, that is the intellect part alone, gives importance to the I am. And it always claims I am this and that, I am this and that. But the real I am, our consciousness, our feeling will not claim. It is a natural event. All our consciousness, our feelings is a natural happening. It never try to be something else, but it is always there because there is no difference of opinion. It is there. When you feel anger, when you feel sorrow, when you feel whatever feeling you have, it is real. There is no doubt about it. But only the intellect part alone raises some doubt. Who am I? What is this or that? Can I exist? What will be in the next life? What will be tomorrow? So all these things is the product of our intellect. The intellect alone inquires this and that. It is only imaginary part. But the imaginary part has to lose itself. The real part, the imaginary part has to lose itself. Then only the real part has to function in a natural way. And Ramana says in both ways. He asked us to err in a little way and asked us to focus our attention in the I consciousnesses. Website address is there. Refer some website and some English part is also there. Mostly in Tamil, but in some portion maybe in English.
Our master said that it reminds some residue.
Vasanas.
Yeah.
Vasanas. Even in spite of the understanding,
Yeah.
the vasanas remains. So what happened to the vasanas? Because actually, liberation is the highest thing. Enlightenment is the way through for the liberation. Enlightenment, when the enlightenment happens in the intellect part, the intellect part does not disturb the conscious part. Conscious consciousness is free. So the free flow of consciousness is happening to the enlightened persons. The same thing is happening with child also. A child, a small boy, a small child is sitting in the liberated state. But you may watch a child. The child may behave. The child may express many kind of characters, many feelings. Children, the boy, the baby, it will creates many kind of feeling. It may show different kind of feeling. But in spite of may have this, even the child may have some vasanas in the mind. Even though the child has different kind of vasanas, it does not disturb the innocence of the child. Vasanas is not the disturbance to the liberation. Only our intellect alone disturbs the liberation. So if the intellect is not interfering with the consciousness, the liberation is not disturbed. So whatever may be the vasanas, it does not create any nuisance to the liberation. So the liberation is the highest state. Nothing can touch the liberation. Only the problem, our intellect part alone creates problem. The intellect gives way. If the intellect goes away, then no problem is there. The vasanas will not create any problem. So when the consciousness
Still remain, I mean. You mean that it won't create any more problem, but the vasana will still remain
there. But vasanas will come as an experience. Vasanas is the substratum or it is the base. Through vasanas alone we can have some feeling. So all feeling may be created through our vasanas, but it comes and goes. So when it comes and goes, the vasanas will be cleared. Course of time, all vasanas will be clear. But you need not worry about the vasanas. So the real problem is not the vasanas. The real problem is our intellect. If the intellect gives way to the free flow of our mind, free flow of our consciousness, the problem is over. So you need not worry about the vasanas. You may have mountain of vasanas, but it doesn't matter. The total world may be dark. But if you have a torch, you can use the torch and you can take many more round throughout the world. The total world may be dark, need not worry about the darkness. But wherever you go, you have the torch. You have the light on your world. Think about
Free will.
free will. Free will is related to our intellectual mind. Free will is related to only the external world. Psychologically, there is no free will. If you may use the free will, you can, by your free will, if you use our free will, it will create nuisance alone. So we have to be away from the free will with related to the consciousness. We can use our free will to the external situation. We can select where we have to go, in which country we have to go. That you have to plan, you have to think. But you should not plan your consciousness. Consciousness is out of our reach, and free will not enter in there. If you use our free will to deal with our consciousness, that is a natural chaos. All problem will be there. So we have to be free from the free will in respect of the consciousness. We can use our free will to the external world. Where we have to use our free will?
Have even free will in this.
Free will in this?
In this world. When we think, I'm coming, for example, to see you, is it real free will or it's something?
Yeah, free will. This is free will. Intellectually, you decide yourself through intellect world. Intellectual alone, using your intellect alone, you decide. And you use your intellect means you use your free will. And you use your free will and thereby you select and come here. You may have many options and you select this option and you come here.
Right. But I'm wondering, I really decide this? I have the feeling that I've decided to come. The idea of going through me, saying like I'm coming here, do I decide this thought or not?
But you think that you prefer that you have to come here, but if you at the same time you have a phone call to go somewhere else, if somebody else wants you to go there, and you change your idea. And then you change my idea to come here and you go somewhere else. So even though you have a free will, some circumstances, according to circumstances, you use your free will. But psychologically, there is no possibilities of use of free will. Whenever you enter into the psychological field, and all problems will be there. But in the external world, if you do not use your brain, if you do not use your intellect, if you do not use your free will, then there will be problem. So you have to use their free will there. But at the same time, you have to think properly, and in a proper manner, properly, you have to think, you have to decide. You have to think in a correct way, you have to think in a right way. If you enter into this conscious level, our intellect may say, I should not have any worst feeling, I must always happy, I must always peace of mind, I should not have any tension, I should not have any fear, I should not have any sorrow. It will say like that, but it is not possible. We will not have no power over our consciousness. There are certain people that everything is done by God, there is no free will for ourselves, everything is done by God. We have no free will, even in the internal world, even in the external world, no free will. But this kind of teaching is aimed only to solve the psychological problem. If you accept that concept, it will also give you some psychological freedom, psychological salvation. That is, it is also aimed to achieve that. But logically thinking, and if you with practical mind you have to apply, then we have the free will in the external world. In the psychological world also, alone the free will is not possible.
The spiritual will do nothing of his logical structure. He is unable, incapable, because the mind is so used that we can do that.
No.
Because if I want to change, get an object from here and put here, I can do it because I have a hand. But there is no tool to change a single thought in my mind. There is no such tool. And the thought that I want to change is controlled by someone, which is not in my hands.
That's why I was speaking about freedom. From my point of view, I don't think there is.
Logical, there is not no free will. Because even if you start to search and work for that free will, that who wants to the free will is also controlled by someone else. You cannot do nothing about the logical search. Mind is so used because every day we control something externally.
Enjoying and celebrating every moment.
But celebration is going on. You need not celebrate.
Not celebrate, but it's mean enjoying everything's coming. If it's sadness, enjoying this. If it's whatsoever, I mean, it's
just happening.
Yeah.
Everything is happening. We have no part in the happening.
No purpose, no goal, no just experience.
The goal is expected by the mind. The intellect alone sets the goal.
There is no goal.
No goal.
No goal.
No goal.
Just experience.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
No goal. The goal is that
I know. The goal is mind wanting something.
Mind only creates the goal.
Yeah.
Happening will not create any goal. Happening happens naturally.
The mind. But the mind getting
Understanding
the
beyond.
understanding you are speaking. But mind beyond the mind.
No. Only mind is alone is there. There is no beyond mind. We don't know only the mind. The mind is totally two parts, conscious part and the intellect part. The intellect part alone understands. Because the intellect part understands that you have no business to deal with the conscious part. Conscious part is a natural happening. It is a happening part. It is a real part. The intellect part is an imaginary part. It is with so much concepts, ideas, knowledge. So in the concept level alone, you have to understand that it has no business with regard to the natural conscious part. So the understanding happens only in the intellect part. Because the intellect part alone creates nuisance. The intellect part alone wants to do something. It wants to change your conscious part.
Yes.
But if the intellect part, if I find it, it cannot be, and thereby, if all the intellect or the intelligence says, we cannot say it like that. If the intellect have some conception to do something, then only it will do something. If the intellect come to a conclusion that it cannot do anything, the conclusion will act. The intellect will have to follow the conclusion taken by the intellect itself.
I understand that the entire part has to shut up, have to done real nature can.
But everything is momentary, even thought is momentary, feeling is momentary. So when come to an understanding,
for me it's not the intellectual part.
It functions in a different way. If it has some possibility to change anything, it will always try to change something. But if you feel the incapacity of changing anything, then you will not try it. Then it will not try. So it may be named as silence of mind, because it is a different kind of mind. If the intellect understand that I cannot do something, then it is a different kind of mind.
For example, like in satsang, in silence, happening, presence with someone, you are in front of a...
But anything happens in silence will reach only the conscious level, but not in the intellectual level. The intellectual, if anything, but what happens in the conscious level, because the conscious level there is no problem. Even though it may be apparently there may be some problem, it is not really problem. But real problem is only in the intellectual part. If the intellect part alone has to come to a right conclusion. If you are silence, if you have silence in your mind, if no adverse feeling comes and you feel silent, for the time being the intellect will be alright. So everything is silent, I have no business. So for the time being it will be alright. But if the silence goes away and some adverse feeling comes in the front, then the intellect part comes into the picture. Oh, I will correct everything. So that is so once again the intellect will get importance. So if the intellect comes to the conclusion, I will have no duty upon the consciousness, then it will never enter. But if the intellect part does not enter into the consciousness is always free. There is no problem. Whatever may be the consciousness, maybe a worst one or a best one, it flows. It is just like a flowing river. The flowing river clears itself. There will be no dirt formation in the moving river. The water is stagnant, some dust may form. Ego means feeling I am. There is no problem in it. If you want to change something, then you assume some responsibility. You give some responsibility to the ego. Then only the ego gets problem. But you have to think externally. You have to have some duty externally, and there is no problem. Even though you have some responsibility to do something externally, it does not create any problem. But if anything happens against your will, and if this must be like that, this must not be like that, then you think this must be like that, then you find something against you, then it will create some adverse feeling within yourself. If anything happens against your will, you feel sorrow for that. If anything happens according to your will, you feel happy about that. So, thereby, you have some attachment to your feeling. In relation to the happening, your attachment to your feeling. And when you want to separate your feeling, this must be like that, this must not be like that, I must be happy always, I should not have any adverse feeling, then only the ego is problematic. Otherwise, the ego is not at all a problem. When it expects some result, this must be like that, this must not be like that, then only it becomes assertive. Some force is there. Whenever there is some force, it creates problem. Intelligence is not a problem. When you put some force, that means all force is psychological.
I'm insisting because I know that the vocabulary in back to the past, like when you say I am, it means behind this. I am the body, I am the mind, I am the body-mind.
Actually, when there is I am, the I am really means our consciousness. Because even though you are the body, you are conscious of your body. Whenever you are conscious of your body, then only you have body. So it means your consciousness. If you do not conscious of your body, you cannot say I am body. So the consciousness takes the role. If you do not conscious of your body, you cannot say I am body. When you conscious of your mind, you say I am the mind. So the consciousness is there. Only the consciousness, only the feeling. If you feel that I am the body, if you feel the body, then you feel the body.
For you, the ego is more the reaction. The reaction
But
against of I don't want this or I don't want that.
No.
Something like this.
But when the I am is related to the consciousness, it does not, it is the real I am. The consciousness is only the being. It is the existence, it is the being. It is, our intellect part is only an imagination. It is only the concept, made up of ideas, knowledge. And even though it says I am, it is an artificial I am, it is not a real I am. The real I am is our consciousness. It is the being. So consciousness is alone the real I am. Consciousness alone is the being. Even though the consciousness may have some feeling that I am the body, I am the mind, the consciousness may feel like that. But whatever it be, it may...
Ego. When you can put like a sticker of Instead of just being, if you put a name of
Name of that.
this or that, or this,
Yeah,
this is ego process.
That is the ego process of the mind, of the intellect.
Yeah.
So the intellect process claims that I am this and that. So the intellect says like that. But even though it looks like that, and it creates a problem in that. But the real I am is our consciousness. The real I am will not claim anything superiority, anything for that. It is natural, it is there. There is no doubt about it. But only the artificial intellect, artificial I am, creates some problem, creates some effort to do something or not.
People are trying to have this concept, being near freedom, like once, trying to get this and to get that, and to be better in this and better that, and then you can spend a lifetime doing this. Show me this, and nothing to change. Toward letting go, that I'm reading during many years before, where I just get the meaning of what is meaning letting go, like get somewhere to get something, prove this, you know. If this is not you don't try to make it better.
Really,